Hey YouTube, it's your girl Stacy and welcome to A Pinch of This and That, where today we will be making some barbecue jerk chicken wings and some potato salad. Let's get into it. So here you'll see I have some barbecue jerk sauce, and I'm putting it into a bowl because I'm going to add my spin to this sauce. I tasted it before I started this video and I was like, meh, it needed a little spin. So I'm going to go ahead and add some of my green seasoning, definitely throwing in some brown sugar because it just needed to have that balance of a little bit of sweet and the heat, some crushed chili peppers, some garlic powder, and some paprika, as well as finishing it off with some thyme and salt and pepper. Now, usually when I buy store-bought barbecue sauce, I do like to add my flavors to it just because I feel like it needs some additional TLC and LOVE. So once I'm done, I'm gonna make sure I mix it all together real good, and I'm gonna let that sit while I go ahead and clean the chicken wings, to which I only bought 1 pack, which was enough for just me, since I wasn't cooking for a group of people. So I just went with 1 pack of chicken wings that were already split and cut into the flats and the drums. And once they're clean, which I did clean with some lime and some water, I'm gonna go ahead and pat them dry. I have a tendency to forget this step sometimes, and I often get mad at myself because I'm like, there's too much water at the bottom. So this time I did not forget. So be sure to pat your wings dry before adding your spiked up barbecue sauce. Now that you got them patted dry, you can go ahead and add your barbecue sauce to it. Now, because of the fact that I added my green seasoning and the spices to the barbecue sauce, I didn't need to add any additional seasoning to the chicken wings. Now, you're just gonna mix everything up nicely. And once that's mixed up, you're gonna go ahead and get a small onion and you're going to roughly chop the onion. Now, I didn't use the cutting board. I just went ahead and, like I said, roughly chopped it up and added it to this dish. And I'm gonna make sure that I get all the sauce and the onions and the wings mixed up together. And then I'll set that aside for about an hour. Sometimes I do it overnight, but because it was a Sunday afternoon, I was hungry, I was like, let me just let this sit for an hour, which is long enough because it's gonna cook for about the same amount of time. Then you're gonna continue to mix. Once it's all covered up, pop the lid on it and let it sit for an hour. Once the hour is done, you can go ahead and get your tray out. I love this tray because it does have like the grill part on top, so it allows for the juices to drip down. And when I did add the chicken wings to this pan, this tray, I did let some of the onions, go cook with it. Doesn't make a difference whether you have the onions or not. Don't, make yourself go crazy and thinking I should separate all. No, let it just be there. Let it cook and roast with the chicken in the oven. So I'm making sure to separate them as best I can. I didn't anticipate that there would be so many wings in that packet, and I didn't gauge how they would actually fit onto the tray, but I managed to make everything fit. You see me just aligning them and getting them in order, and don't judge a girl. She ate every single one of them. Not in one sitting. I mean, I could, but I didn't. And there they are. I'm gonna pop them in the oven at 400 degrees. I did go ahead and add some more barbecue sauce to it, just because y'all know I'm a saucy gal. So I separated the sauce from the chicken wings and I set it aside while the chicken baked. So here are the ingredients. We have some garlic, some mayo, some red and orange peppers, some green onions, some onions, potatoes, green seasoning, salt, pepper, thyme, paprika, garlic powder. We have some balsamic glaze and some of the Dijon mustard. I'm gonna go ahead and get my potatoes started and have them boil for about 15 minutes. While that's boiling, I do take the chicken out after 20 minutes of cooking, and I go ahead with my first basting. As you'll notice, when I am basting, I am getting some of the onions on top of there. I want the onions to bake with the chicken. It's going to give it some good flavor. You don't have to. You don't even have to use the onions. Honestly, it's up to you. But this is how I like it, and this is how I like to go about in creating different flavor profiles when it comes to making jerk barbecue chicken wings. So in a saucepan, I'm going to add some oil. After my potatoes have cooked for about 15 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and add them to this saucepan with the garlic. I want to cook down some of the garlic with the potatoes. Now, honestly, this isn't how I traditionally make potato salad. For some reason, on this particular day, I was feeling creative and I was like, I wonder. It was just one of those Sundays where I was like, this is what I've got. Let's see what I can make out of it. And so I went ahead and did these following steps, which was to add some butter to it and to get them, cook them down in the pan. They weren't fully cooked, so I wanted to do the rest of the cooking in the pan with the garlic and the butter. And I added the garlic here, as you see, as well as some of the onions and green onions and some of the red peppers, just because it actually came out nice, to be honest with you. So this is me experimenting. I let that cook for about an additional 10 minutes, and then I set it aside and let it cool down. I don't have an exact time to give you as to how long it took to cool down, but it did take a minute to be cool enough for me to go ahead and add the other additional ingredients, to which we'll see in a bit. So you go ahead and add a little bit of salt and pepper and some thyme, and I did add some Italian seasoning to it. I'm taking the chicken wings now after 10 minutes of its first basting, and I'm going to flip them finally. And as you can see, the other side needs to get some love and some color. And before I pop them back in, I'm going to go ahead and baste them again. And you'll also notice that I am making sure to get those onions on there. So after about 10 more minutes, I go ahead and I baste them again. I do add some more barbecue sauce because it was running low, and not too much, just about, I want to say, two or three tablespoons more. You know me and my measurements, y'all. And I'm going to go ahead and baste them. This time I'm overemphasizing putting the onions on them because they don't have too much longer to cook. So I'm going to utilize everything as much as I can, not all of it, but as much as the onions as I can and the sauce onto the chicken before placing them back into the oven. And I believe I do have another basting that I will do after this. Now, while the chicken is in the oven, I'm going to go ahead and combine all the other ingredients to the potatoes now that they've cooled down, which are the red peppers and the rest of the onions and the green onions or scallion. And then I'm going to add the seasonings that I have also set aside, which is the paprika, the Italian seasoning, and the garlic powder. I need to correct myself because I did say that I put thyme. I only added thyme when I was frying it or somewhat roasting it. I'm going to add the Dijon mustard and the balsamic glaze to it as well. And then I'm going to mix everything together after I add my favorite ingredient. It's a little bit of my green seasoning, which has all the additional flavors that I want to add, which has some parsley and some cilantro and some of the fresh thyme that is blended up in there, the jalapeno peppers, all of that's in there. Not jalapeno, oh Lord, man, the Scotch bonnet. Forgive me, y'all. I'm going to add a lot of my mayo in there because I like for it to be creamy. You're just going to mix everything together. Make sure all of it is well mixed and combined. And you're going to let that sit in your fridge for about, I want to say a minimum of 30 minutes. I just like for the seasonings and everything to marry together. And then I'll mix it a little bit more and see if it needs to have more of the mayo, because I realize sometimes the potatoes like to just suck up all the mayo. So I might add a spoonful or two additionally to it. But in this case, I didn't have to. It actually tastes really good. And of course, I'm going to finish it with some of my cracked pepper and some salt. And I did put some dry parsley seasoning on top, and then I put it in the fridge to sit. And there it is. And as you can see, the wings are done. You see how nice the onions look? You also notice how there are some pieces of chicken missing before I added the lemon juice? Yes, because your girl's greedy, and I kept tasting. And when I tell you these were good, this took about an hour to cook, honestly, maybe even a little bit less than. And here it is. And there's potato salad, there's the chicken with the onions on top. And then I also had some leftover macaroni pie that I had made, and I just popped that in the oven to warm up and put this little Sunday dish together. It was just so quick, so easy, and most of all, so freaking delicioso. Oh, me encanta. I love, love, love. And there you go. That was so quick and so easy, y'all. Seriously. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you to my subscribers. Thank you so much to my new viewers and new subscribers. I see y'all. I appreciate y'all. And remember, God is good all the time, and all the time, God is good.